Namaste everybody. In my previous video, I explained some of the paragraphs of the story The Happy Prince, and in this video, I am going to explain the next paragraphs of this story. So, you have seen in this story that the statue of Happy Prince told to Swallow to take out the ruby. Here, ruby is very precious stone that is red in color. So he told to the swallow to took out the ruby from the handle of his sword and give it to the poor woman. And here the poor woman was a tailor, she was a seamstress, and she was embroidering flowers on a satin gown for the loveliest of the queen's maids of honor to wear at the next court ball. And the happy prince also told that that tailor has a son, and her son was suffering from fever and she had nothing to give her son except river water. So, after watching the very pathetic and miserable condition of that woman, the statue of Happy Prince was extremely sad, and he told to Swallow to take out the ruby from his handle of the sword and gave it to that woman. And he also told that my feet are fastened to these pedestals and I cannot move, because it was a statue and it was tied with pedestal. Come to the next paragraph. I am waited for in Egypt, said the swallow. My friends are flying up and down the Nile and talking to the large lotus flower. Soon they will go to sleep. Here the swallow told to the statue of the happy prince that my friends are waiting in Egypt, and you know very well that Egypt is a country that is located in Africa. And he further said that my friends are flying up and down the Nile River. Nile is the longest river of this world, and the friends of swallow are talking to the large lotus flower, and they will go to sleep. So here the swallow is telling about his friends to the statue of the happy prince. The prince asked the swallow to stay with him for one night and be his messenger. Now the prince requested the swallow to stay with him for one night and be his messengers. The boy is so thirsty and the mother so sad, he said. The statue of the happy prince gave the reference of the boy who is very thirsty and her mother is also thirsty. I don't think I like boys, answered the swallow. I want to go to Egypt. But the swallow replied that I don't think I like boys. I want to go to Egypt because my friends are waiting in Egypt. But the happy prince looked so sad that the little swallow was sorry. It is very cold here, he said, but he agreed to stay with him for one night and be his messenger. So here, uh, the happy prince looked very sad when the swallow told him that he will go to the Egypt because his friends are waiting there. And he further said that it is very cold here. But ultimately, he agreed to stay with him for one night and be his messenger. Then the statue of the happy prince thanked him. He said, "Thank you, little swallow," said the prince. The swallow picked out the great ruby from the prince's sword and flew away with it in his beak over the roofs of the town. Now the swallow took out the great ruby stone from the sword of the prince, and he flew away with it in his beak over the roof of the towns. He passed by the cathedral towers where the white marble angels were sculptured. So here the swallow was flying over the cathedral tower. Cathedral tower means the church, and where the white marbles, angels here, a statue were sculptured on the cathedral tower. It means on the church. He passed by the palace and heard the sound of dancing. And when the swallow passed by the palace of the happy prince, he heard the sound of dancing. And what did he say? A beautiful girl came out on the balcony with her lover. The swallow saw that a very beautiful girl came out with her lover in the balcony, and both the lover and beloved were talking. She was telling, I hope my dress will be ready in time for the state ball. Here, the state ball means uh, royal dance ceremony, and in Hindi you can say the Shahi Nrit. So here the beautiful girl was telling to her lover that my dress will be ready in time for the state ball. She further said, I have ordered flowers to be embroidered on it, but the seamstresses are so lazy. So here the beautiful girl was talking about her gown that she had given to the seamstress, it means the tailor, to make a flower on it. The swallow passed over the river and saw the lanterns hanging on the mast of the ship. Here the swallow was flying over the town of the happy prince. He was flying over the river and he saw the lanterns, it means lanterns, light hanging on the mast of the ship. Mast here, this is the poles that is situated on the ship. At last he came to the poor woman's house and looked in. Ultimately, the swallow came to the poor woman's house and he saw the boy was tossing feverishly on his bed and the mother had fallen asleep. The boy was tossing. Tossing means here moving left and right on the bed quickly, and her mother had the mother of that boy had fallen asleep and because he was so tired, and he hoped and laid the great ruby on the table beside the woman's thimble. Here, thimble means a plastic cap that is used to wear in the finger during the swing. So this is called thimble. So what the swallow did, he laid the great ruby on the table beside the woman's thimble. Then he flew gently round the bed, fanning the boy's forehead with his wings. And the swallow started the swallow kept the ruby stone on the table beside the woman's thimbles, and he started flying gently round the bed, and he was fanning the boy's forehead with his wings. How cool I feel, said the boy. The boy was feeling very cool, very relaxed when the bird was fanning. I must be getting better, and he sank into a delicious slumber. Slumber means here sleep. So when the swallow was flying over the boa, and the bird was fanning boa's forehead with his wings. The boa said that I must be getting better. It means I am recovering. And very soon he slept deeply. Then the swallow flew back to the happy prince and told him what he had done. And now, after doing that, the swallow flew back to the happy prince and told about all the incident and event that he had done. It is curious, he remarked, but I feel quite warm now, although it is so cold. So here the prince replied that it is curious, it means it is very interesting, you did very good things. And the bird also remarked, said that I feel quite warm now, although it is so cold. It was very cold, but the bird was feeling uh, warm. That is because you have done a good action, said the prince. The prince replied, you are feeling warm because you have done a good thing, good action, because you have helped someone. And the little swallow began to think and then fell asleep. Thinking always made him sleepy. So the little swallow began to think and fell asleep. He was always thinking uh, that he was always thinking uh, sleepy. That is why he slept. When day broke, he flew down to the river and had a bath. Tonight I go to Egypt, said the swallow, and he was in high spirit at the prospect. Now, next day, what the swallow did, when the day broke, it means when the sun rose, he flew down to the river and he had a bath, and he told to the statue of the happy prince that tonight I go to Egypt. And he was in high spirit at the prospect. Here, uh, prospect means thinking. He thought. He visited all the monuments and sat long time on top of the church steeple. Here, steeple means tower of a church. So, what the bird did, he visited many monuments in the city of the happy prince, and he sat on a long time on top of the church tower. When the moon rose, he flew back to the happy prince, and when it became night and the moon came in the sky, he also flew back to the happy prince. Have you any commissions for Egypt? He cried. I am just starting. Here, the bird swallow told to the prince that do you have any work in Egypt? I'm just starting. The statue of the happy prince further said, swallow, swallow, little swallow, said the prince, will you stay with me one night longer? Here, the prince is telling to the swallow to stay for one more night with him. For that, the swallow replied that I am waited for in Egypt, answered the swallow. So, up to this, I have discussed uh, some of the paragraphs. I hope you all will understand this story, and I will explain the next paragraphs in the next class. So thank you.